Hi guys, there's a lot of confusion about whether you should study in the UK or in France. And in this video, I am going to help you figure it all out based on my experiences. So let's compare UK and France. The first thing to look into is the best academic programs offered by each of these countries. For example, in the UK, they offer excellent programs in finance, law, economics, humanities, and the rest as mentioned on the screen. While in France, they offer amazing programs in management, especially masters in management, sustainability, luxury brand management, innovation and entrepreneurship, and the rest as mentioned on the screen. The second and the most important factor to look into is the post-study work visa. In the UK, the post-study work visa allows you to stay back for 2 years, so does France. The third and another critical point to look into is language barriers. In the UK, everyone speaks in English. However, in France, there is a language barrier, mainly because only 36% of the French population speaks in English. However, that does not mean that you should completely eliminate France as an option. In fact, let me share my personal experience. So, I went to France to pursue my master's in management from the popular Essec Business School. My entire education was in English. My internships and apprenticeships were in English, and so were all the jobs that were coming to me. This was also the case with all my classmates, seniors, and juniors. However, you need to understand that France has limited English speaking jobs, and these English speaking jobs go to graduates from top universities and business schools like the ones on your screen. So, if you want to go study in France and do not want to learn the language, then make sure you end up going to a very good institute. The next point to consider is affordability. Now, France is more affordable than the UK, majorly because France has public universities which are extremely affordable. But let's say we do not want to look at public universities right now. We want to just compare top business schools or tier 1 business schools in the UK like these to tier 1 business schools in France like these. Even in this case, France is a little cheaper in terms of the tuition fees as compared to the UK. Now let's dig a little deeper. Let's compare health insurance. In France, the basic health insurance is completely free or heavily subsidized, while in the UK it is paid. The next point to consider is the cost of living. Now, the cost of living may significantly differ depending on which type of accommodation you choose and obviously your personal standard of living. But let's say we take some ballpark figures for your reference. The cost of living in London is £1,500, while the cost of living outside London is about £1,100. The cost of living in Paris is about €1,200, while the cost of living outside Paris is €800. As you can clearly see, France is significantly cheaper as compared to the UK, majorly because of these two factors. The first one being the housing subsidy provided by the French government. The French government provides housing subsidy to students, and it actually pays back 33% of their rent every month. And the second reason it's cheaper is because of the health insurance that I discussed before. Health insurance, like I said, in France is free or extremely subsidized, which is not the case in the UK. The next point to compare is part-time jobs. In the UK, since there are no language barriers, if you work hard enough, you can find some good part-time jobs. However, that is not the case in France. In France, getting a part-time job is very, very difficult if you do not know the language. However, it's not impossible. A few of my clients have landed part-time jobs and they're working at McDonald's, Indian restaurants, etc. But all of these jobs are back-end work where they do not have to actually communicate with anybody. In my case, it was very different though. When I was studying at Essec in Paris, I did not do these kind of part-time jobs, but I definitely got opportunities at Essec where I was a teaching assistant or a research assistant, and these opportunities paid really well as well. However, not all business schools offer such part-time jobs, so please make sure to do your research well. Okay, so before I move on to discussing about the job market in both the countries, let me tell you a little bit about myself. So I am Bijal and I help students get into the world's best universities. I run a study abroad boutique called Edu, where we help candidates get into tier 1 universities across the world along with scholarships. So if you're someone seeking help in this entire journey, feel free to reach out to my team on this WhatsApp number and we will help you out. Let's discuss the job market now. The job market in the UK currently in 2025 is not the best. It is nowhere close to how it was 5 years ago. That's why it's extremely important for you, if you want to study in the UK, to get into a top tier institute. There are two main reasons for this. The first one is that, let's say, whenever the economy recovers, right, students from these top business schools are the first ones who will get jobs. The second reason is, let's say you do not get a job in the UK and you have to come back to India. In this case, you can actually also apply for jobs in Dubai, Europe, Singapore, etc. If you have studied at a very popular brand name like these, then your education will be recognized and your chances of getting a job in other regions will significantly increase. Now let's talk about the French job market. Now, in case of France, like you already know, the total number of English speaking jobs are limited. However, there are significant chances of you landing a job there if you graduate from one of the elite business schools or public universities. Although to get that job is not very easy. You have to follow a step-by-step process where you first try to get an internship, maybe do another internship or an apprenticeship, and then finally land that job. For example, in my case, I still remember I applied to more than 400 internship opportunities, and that's when I landed my first internship. But the next internship was easier to get, and so on. This is because in France, you need to prove that you are capable of working in an international environment and also that you're open to their culture. You need to learn French a little bit so that you can talk to people, you can socialize, right? So that you're open to the culture and open to understanding who they are as people. That does not mean that your job or your internship or even your education is going to be in French. Right? So I understand there's a lot of confusion about the French language in France, because of which a lot of students outright reject France. But trust me, the French government provides a lot of benefits to international students and they also offer a lot of amazing scholarships. Yes, the opportunities are limited, but if you do make your way to a top university, then you're going to do wonders. For example, all of my classmates from India at Essec Business School today have a job and are doing pretty well for themselves. So yes, it's not easy either, be it UK or in France, but if you're ready to put in the hard work, then there's nothing that can stop you. However, please make sure that you choose the right country, the right course, and right college for yourself, and do not follow the crowd. Do not listen to what everyone's saying. Do your own research or hire an expert or a consultant who can guide you genuinely in this entire process. For the ones who don't know, I am Bijal and I help candidates get into the world's top universities. So if you're looking for help in your study abroad journey, feel free to reach out to my team on this WhatsApp number or directly schedule your first free 15-minute call with me. The link is in the bio.